All right, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 3, and I just made up some examples here because I ran out of time in class. So I'm going to start really simple. The ones that are on your lesson are going to be a little bit harder than this, but I want to start out just a little bit easier. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to solve for x, which means we're going to get x all by itself. And I would say most of you can mentally see that x is going to be 6, because 6 plus 4 equals 10. But I want to do these simple ones first to show you how it's going to work. So your goal is to always get this variable, this x, all by itself. So whatever's here, we want to get rid of it. We want to move it to the other side. The way you move it to the other side is you always do the opposite. Notice here we're adding 4. So you're going to think, what's the opposite adding 4? Well, it's subtracting 4. But whatever you do to the left, I told them in class, you have to do the same thing on the right. So I'm just going to show it up here because look right here, 4 minus 4, hopefully everybody sees that's gone. That's 0. So all I have left on this side is this boring x. And you can see here 10 minus 4 would give me 6. So again, hopefully that's an easy one that everybody can see, no problem. Okay, let's try this one. Again, what's your goal? Find your letter, your variable, and get it all by itself. So you're going to want to get rid of this. Always do the opposite. What is the opposite of subtracting 3? Adding 3. So if you add 3 on the left, you're going to add 3 on the right. And think about it. What is negative 3 plus 3? It's 0. That's gone. So all you have left is x, and 5 plus 3 is 8. So that would be your answer right there. And so you can see that 8 minus 3 is indeed 5.
Ta-da!
Yep. Okay, let's move on to another one. Find your letter. Remember, your letter is called your variable because it can change. Get rid of this. What's the opposite of subtracting 10? Adding 10. So we're going to add 10 on both sides. You're going to show that. That's called showing your work right there because these two things are going to cancel. Negative 10 plus 10, that's gone. So all you have left is y on the left. And then use your calculator. If you're having a hard time with these negatives, do you know how to hit negative 4 in your calculator? Hit negative 4 plus 10, but you should get 6. And think about it, 6 minus 10 is indeed negative 4. Okay, we're going to do one more simple, and then we're going to go on to some little ones that make you think a little harder. Okay, find your variable, get it by itself. Let's get rid of this plus 7. What's the opposite of adding 7? Subtracting 7. Hopefully you said that inside your head. So y equals minus 7 minus 7, that's gone. What's negative 1 minus 7? Think about this again. You're already short $1 and you just spent 7 more, so you are now short 8. Or again, use your calculator if you're having problems with that. All right, let's go to some that are a little bit more interesting. Right here, 2x plus 3 equals 11. Notice here, I'm going to find my x, my variable, and I'm going to box in this whole term. I still want to always get rid of this first. So I'm going to subtract 3. Why? Because the opposite of adding 3 is subtracting 3. So notice what you've got. Now instead of just a boring x, it's still 2x. 3 minus 3, it's gone. What's 11 minus 3? 8. Okay, now usually we've been done, but these kind of problems have 2 steps because my x is still not by itself. Here, this says 2 times x, and I would say, well, what's the opposite of multiplying by 2? It's dividing by 2. And right here, what is 2 over 2? So hopefully everybody sees that cancels out, leaving you, again, boring x, and 8 over 2 is 4. And that's how you solve right there. Okay, so you would be done. If you wanted to, you could go back and you could actually check this to see if you got it right. You know, you could plug 4 back in right there. That means 2 times 4, if they're written right beside each other, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is indeed 11. So you're like, whoo, I'm good. All right, let's go to the next one. Find your variable. There it is. You want to get this guy all by itself. So we're going to get rid of that minus 4. What's the opposite of subtracting 4? Adding 4. What you do on the left, we're going to do it on the right. Notice a negative 4 plus 4. That's 0. So it's gone. So I just have 3y. 8 plus 4 is 12. This y, he's not by himself yet. He wants to get rid of the 3 that says 3 times y. What's the opposite of multiplying by 3? You're dividing by 3. And notice I'm showing my work. I want everybody to show at least this much work. Okay? Notice your 3's cancel. So y equals 4. You don't have to use different colors, but I should be able to see your work where you're adding the same value on both sides. Show me what you're dividing by, and then I like it if you'll either circle it or kind of box in your answer. Okay, I'm going to go to another page. Let's look at this one. Remember what I always tell you to do? I say find your variable. So I'm like, ooh, here's a variable. Oh my goodness, there's a variable on that side too. This is the first time we've had one on both sides. They want to get together. You want to put them on the same side. It really doesn't matter if you can either move the 2x over here with this guy, or you can take the x and move it over there. It doesn't really matter. I usually move the smaller one. This would be smaller. It's a positive x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract x from both sides because I want to put them together. What is x minus x? It's gone, isn't it? Isn't it 0? So on this side I have a positive 3. 2x minus, remember if you don't see a number, it's like a 1. So 2x minus 1x is just a boring x, and you still have your minus 4. Okay, so find your variable. There it is. Get it by itself. So you want to get rid of this minus 4. Think opposites. What's the opposite of subtracting 4? Adding 4. But if you do it here on the right side of this equals, you've got to do it on the left. Okay, 3 plus 4 is 7, so you should get 7 equals x. Realize that's the same thing as x equals 7. There's no difference. Who cares what side you put your x on. And you can always take this value if you want. You can check your answers, on the solutions. But if you're worried, you can check it. You can plug it right back in here. If you take this 7 and you plug it in right there, do you see you would get a 7 plus 3? That would give you 10. Now put your 7 in right here. That means 2 times 7. That's 14. 14 minus 4, hey, it's 10. So both sides are the same. All right, this one is actually one right from your book. This is from 2A. I should say this is actually probably from 3A, number 7. Okay, find your variables. Find your letters. Here's an A. Here's an A. You got them on either side of the equation, and they want to get together. They like each other. Get them on one side. Again, I usually move the smaller one, but it doesn't matter. Do you see that that's a positive 2A? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2A from both sides. And I'm just going to show it up here. If you want to write it down below, if you want to write it like this, you could write it like that. But I just want to see that you know that on both sides, and we're talking both sides of this equal sign, on the right and on the left, you do exactly the same thing. So notice this cancels. So what do I have left on this side? Just a 12. What do I have left on this side? 4A minus 2A is 2A plus 6. Okay, now remember what you're supposed to do? Find your variable. Here it is. Get it by itself. So what are you going to do? Subtract 6. So we're going to come right here. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. That way that's gone. So I have 2A equals 6. That says 2 times A. What's the opposite of timesing by 2? Dividing by 2. I'm trying to give you guys even a little time to think here. So A equals 3. And there you go. Okay, let's try another one over here. Find all your variables. You're going to do all these exactly the same. If you can do one, you can do any of them. Now I've got this problem. I see B's all over the place. I'm like, ooh, look, there's a variable. And I've got some over here. So what we'd probably want to do, this is on the same side of the equals. They're on the same side. Just go ahead and combine those. What is 10B minus 2B? 8B. So I'm going to say, okay, so this is my first step. And yes, I want you to show that. Okay. Now, here's my variables. There's a B. There's some B's. And they're on opposite sides. Which one are you going to move? Doesn't really matter, but I like to move the small one. This is a positive 5B. So I'm going to subtract 5B like this. Hopefully everybody can see 5B minus 5B. That's gone. It's just boring 0, so I still have that 21. He didn't go anywhere. What's 8B minus 5B? 3B. Here's the plus 3. So I'm like, ooh, there's my variable. I still need to get him by himself. So the opposite of adding 3 is, let's subtract 3. Notice I'm being very consistent, showing what I'm doing on both sides. So I've got 3b on this side. 3 minus 3, it's gone. What's 21 minus 3? 18. That says 3 times b. Let's get a different color going so we don't get bored with these blues. Divide both sides by 3. So b is going to equal 6. So far they're being really nice. Everything's coming out really pretty. Okay, hopefully we have time to do one more because I want to do this. This is number 14. This is still from 3A. All right, so if you can do this, you can do any of them. But here's what I notice. You might notice this first right here. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but 51 divided by 3. Hit that on your calculator. Good grief, I did, just to double check myself. If you do that, you're going to get 17. 17 plus 1 right here. So on this right side, I've got 18. So parents, I don't care if they use their calculator. We're way beyond arithmetic. We're doing algebra now. All right, so on the left side, look at all these x's. They're all over the place. This is from, you've already done all this. You know how to combine like terms. So let's do that. 10x minus 3x is 7x. Take one more away, you've got 6x. Okay, so I've got this. Now look right here. These are just boring numbers. That is not a 9. You want to think about that as a negative 9. You always look at the sign right in front. Negative 9 plus 3 is a negative 6. So what do we have? I'm going to rewrite it right here. We've got 6x minus 6 equals 18. Okay, find your variable. There it is. How are you going to get rid of that minus 6? I want to move him to the other side. In order to move him, you do the opposite. The opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. So what I've got is 6x equals 18 plus 6. What is that, 24? Whatever's right here by your 6, or by your 6 by your x, just divide by that. Notice that cancels out. Again, if you can't do this in your head, crunch that in your calculator. That's 24 divided by 6. You should get 4. Okay, start those, and if you still need some more help, try them a little bit, but call me and I'll help you.